The bonus episodes keep coming, huh? You know me, I'm a generous God. I'm always looking for opportunities to give you guys something to just keep you tided over until season 6 returns. In the meantime, you're welcome to yet another bonus episode of the greatest podcast in the world. No cap. What you're about to listen to is one of those conversations between friends where the gist is so sweet, the opinions are so diverse, and the passion, the energy is elite that you wish you recorded it. And you know me, I always stay recording. This is also the first of a 3-part series focusing on Peter Obi's journey to Aso Rock, his unlikely candidacy. But this particular one begins with an unlikely conversation about Nigeria's attitude towards professionalism, work ethic, and somehow, some way, we entered into the Nigerian civil service, and then we landed upon Peter Obi. And as with all things politics, a passionate, energetic discussion began. So while you listen, pay attention to the nuances of this conversation. Pay attention to what each person is trying to express. Ani is on this episode. You know Ani if you're a long-time fan of this episode. You're going to hear some new voices. One of the Ezekwesili twins is on here as well, but his episode is coming up in a couple of days or weeks, titled Son of Obi. We're going to talk about him and his mother, but that's a story for another day. At this particular moment, just listen and see how this political/philosophical conversation began and how it ended. My name is Rodney Omokachi, and you are welcome to The Young God, a podcast for gods.
Yeah. Stand back, gotta talk. Watch cost.
It's gonna be a backlash.
Exactly.
So you want your world to be full first. You want to have sat down and be like, man, I am the shit. I love this thing. I am beautiful. You have to have given yourself all that. I mean, God. And then when they come and they're like, oh, you're a God, they're like, oh, thank you, I appreciate that. That's a confirmation of what I believe in. But you don't want to be in a state where they're the ones who are supplying everything to you and you are just collecting. Give to yourself first.
Be like the sun.
Be like the sun.
I was actually saying that to him today, that I'm really, really happy today. And I think that's why so many things are happening, because I'm not just normally happy. But yeah.
Really?
I put on a good show.
Yeah.
Put on a good show. It's hospitality, baby.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yes.
She's a consummate professional.
Well, I'm really happy to hear that. To know that today, as part of your chapter.
Even me, all of you.
And I love a good professional.
Honestly.
You know what I mean?
Honestly.
You know what I mean? Professionals are so nice to work with.
Now I need to wonder if this guy is going somewhere with this here. Oh, you actually mean just professional?
Bro!
Yes.
Don't you love a good professional?
Absolutely.
Who gets the shit done, who does it properly, and, you know.
Almost definitely.
You know.
Yeah.
Come on now.
But you know, the funny thing is, in Nigeria,
It's
being
being a professional, I'll tell you about that. In Nigeria, it's a bit of a joke.
So can I ask an interesting question? What would you consider a professional? Is it about work ethic or about results?
Either or both. Like, let's have one or the other. Like, if you have one or the other, that's a good start.
I disagree.
I don't think there's the need for an or of that. I think it's important that when we're examining and asking questions, we're asking them in terms of we're layering. Because you find that once you begin to layer, once you begin to say, okay, it's about the work ethics and also delivering, you realize that they're all connected. That you need to have a great work ethic to actually deliver in the first place. You need to have a great work ethic to take responsibility in the first place. So, more men and say, you have to take responsibility and to give you a good work ethic, but they're layered.
I would argue differently.
Oh, yeah.
I would say that it's about the work ethics, because to get the job done in Nigeria doesn't require necessarily skill, being professional. I could do something the legal way and the next person will do it the legal way, but we'll still get to the same result. Now, where I think professionalism comes in is your conduct in how you deliver, you get to that result. So that's why I said I would argue.
Oh, so that's an interesting way to look at it. So if it's then about the work ethic, yes?
Yes.
What would you then consider? Because I'm trying to grab something to hold on to. What would you consider good work ethic?
Honesty, integrity, passion. Those are not qualities or, I guess, traits that everyone possesses or can.
Here's a good one.
Actually, everyone can.
I mean, they can, but they choose.
Doing what you said you're gonna do. Keeping your word.
Keeping.
That's for me is that whether you do like commit crimes with that shit or you save the world with that shit. Anybody on either side would appreciate someone who gets it done, right? Like just get it done. Show some, like you said, passion, some trust. Like if I give you my money, you're gonna do it right and do it well.
Yeah.
Like the entire point about living in Nigeria means that you have to be so like, if you see someone who's like that, you keep them close. Whether it's as a friend or as an acquaintance or someone, you want them to be like close by because that's the essence, right?
So I'll give you an example. So we had an issue with the hut, and we got the first company. First company came, friends of one of the directors, so the guys worked, they wore slippers to build the hut. So I'm just giving you guys an example, right? The guys were wearing slippers, they would come whenever they want, they would go and break it if they want, they eat, they throw things on the floor, they were just a nuisance. But every time there were complaints, it was like, oh no, they're getting the job done or whatever. And then they had charged, say, 10,000 naira. We'll just use that number for example. And then everything went to craps in 3 days. It rained and the whole thing went to shit. Then another company came, and this was a consultant recommended this company and said, no, look, you guys, I don't know who those guys were, but I know this company, they're professional, right? So they come. And so they actually are professional because they were in boots, they were in the reflectors, they have gloves and everything. They get everything done in a certain time. Their reports, you know that between 9 and 5, you're going to see these guys in the little hats and doing things, and they're done. It lasted longer than the first guys. So that's why I said, like, they still got the result. We wanted to build hut. We wanted a complete hut. We got them. How and it happened, and that's why I said that it's the way you go about the job that makes you professional, because
100%.
you still get there at the end of the day, which is really, really bad in Nigeria though. We really suffer with that.
It's an issue of responsibility.
Yeah.
So
It's deep.
It is.
Nobody's held accountable. I think that's what it is.
Right? That's really what it is.
There's generally there's no actual cost for failure, or the cost is shared. So what then happens is that it then gets to a point where the shared cost of failure becomes really unbearable, and then everyone starts shouting. But before then, it's shared. Then nobody really notices it. But then when the bridge starts falling, and then everyone's like, wait, it's the bridge falling, and that's when the cost then has accumulated.
Right.
That's what it requires. The Nigerian psyche requires that extremity to take place first before responsibility is then taken. It's not enough that they say, no, but at this level, how can I take my responsibility to ensure that this bridge doesn't fall? It's like, no, when the door falls, then we'll do something about it.
And innocent to be so fine.
The biggest rot
of this is displayed in the civil service.
Of course.
The Nigerian civil service. It is incredibly telling. I did my NYSC serving at the State House, and it was incredible, like how the work ethic it wasn't inspiring. Like in fact, in that space, it was,
So now let me share. It's funny you should say that.
And imagine that across the board.
Yes. And that explains why when you said no one holds each other accountable. I've done consulting work in this sort of area, and almost any consultant of any serious kind who's worked with any of these civil service, like parastatals, MDs, whatever, will tell you the same thing. It's everywhere. It's not ministers, it's not senators, it's not House of Reps members. It's directors and assistant directors and permanent secretaries in ministries. Them niggas never go anywhere. They are career civil servants. From whenever they entered in 1970 what, they will live in a casket. They will see presidents come and go, ministers come and go. Every single ministry isn't run by the minister. It's the permsec and the director and the directors. Those are people's uncles and aunts. They're the ones with the short sleeve suits, those are French suits, and they're the ones in assemblies. They're the ones who are redeemed. They're all the deacons and deaconesses. You say, where does he work? You say, he works in NDIC. That your auntie that is, she's the one. That your uncle in CBN, he's the one. That is assistant director or something, they're the ones. Them niggas are the ones that are Nigeria's problem, and they are the larger majorities. How many ministries do you have in Nigeria? 36 or 37 or thereabouts, unless I'm making a mistake. That's 36 or 37 ministers. That's less than 40 niggas. They can't be Nigeria's problem. How many senators are there? 107 or whatever. How many House of Reps members? 360. We still haven't reached 1,000 people yet, and we're 200 million by their fake calculation, by the way. We haven't reached 1K out of 200 million. They're not the problem. Count how many assistant directors there are in all the ministries, departments, and agencies. Count how many directors, count how many permanent secretaries. You balloon into the thousands. Then you start to see where the problem is. So when you see the civil service, that's it. It's them niggas. Now why do I say that? Because them niggas are uncles and aunties, and we're not yet ready to remove the canopy of love of this corruption thing in this country. Because it means you don't have to shout at the TV, you turn at your dad and your uncle, the one that gave you the 150K when you were going to Dubai. That nigga is the problem. You have to turn at him and say, uncle, what the fuck is you doing? And ain't nobody gonna do that yet, because we need that Dubai money.
That's so good.
That's why they're not holding anybody accountable, because when you start to squeeze, think about what the arms and legs of corruption are. We know what the head and heart are. The big guys, the guys pumping money, we know that. But it's arms and legs. Who are they? It's your uncles and aunties. Are you ready to charge your uncle? Not your nice auntie that has mopo. Are you ready to go and tell her that she's a criminal? Until you get there. But watch, 2023, just watch what's going to happen. You start noticing that all the uncles and aunties going to get real quiet. Just keep watching. So I just say that to say the challenge is we haven't quite figured out what the problem is yet. So we'll rather scream at less than 1,000 niggas who are like, I don't even know what you're talking about, bro, because I'm doing the best I can. And truly, you would always find that them niggas and their posses, like the immediate crew, they're like, oh, they're working so hard. You know what, nigga? Because even if they're working hard, it doesn't matter. That thing is not going to escape your office. It has to go to the permanent secretary's office now. It has to go to the director of finance now. They'll hang your bill to high heavens. That's it now. Think about when you worked in State House. When the people that were your immediate line managers, how many of them were showing up on time and actually doing the work? I don't mean the oga, not the director. I mean the other niggas. Everybody was running their own schemes. Yes, now. So if you want, it's like that. You want to stop there. It's like talking to the guy who's running his own P and maybe he has a second job somewhere or some gig somewhere and he's not around that day.
When there's a book here that says surrounded by idiots.
Well, ironically, the book is about understanding people. But yeah, in order to sort of funny thing is, in order to solve Nigeria's problem, we need to get to a point where we stop thinking that we're surrounded by idiots and try to understand each other and understand where the problem is. Because the problem with Nigeria spills over to professionalism. It constantly lowers the standards of professionalism.
Exactly.
So when you then expect a professional standard, you have a collective response like, nah, this is the way we are in Nigeria. And then you sort of have to settle for the thing that you know is absolute fucking shite.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the standards are lower. At some point, Calabar and Tinapa were the standard. Now it's shit. So thank you. When we were living there, at some point it was something. So ultimately, the kind of realities we create determine the standards that we accept.
You know what it is, bro? And now just to see how to expand on that idea, when you look at all these other countries that you know, like Dubai, Singapore, Malaysia, these countries that were in worse. You think we're in dire straits? Those countries were seeing the worst of it, and then Singapore from '91. Now they're one of the richest countries.
Dubai is just
25 years. They changed it. They look at this desert and said, how can we make it like, and they maintained it. So what we lack is that maintenance culture also. We allow things, we might build something, we allow it sometimes to like just we neglect it, to stop paying attention. And that's how guys like, you know, all this weird, like when we had independence, it was nice at first, you know, we looked like we were going somewhere, and that was the classic thing, we just stopped paying attention. Then all kinds of guys started to rise up. There's some guys that got power, like Sani Abacha. Do you know what you have to get to allow a guy like Sani, like America's on the way right now. Allowing Trump to be president was a shock to them. Oh my God, we let this shit slide. Do you understand? They were like, we went from Obama to this, we dropped the ball. So now they're doing everything they can to frustrate Trump's life so that he doesn't become president. Not because anything he did, it should be particularly that, but because this is a guy that we know should, because if he has the chance to run, if Trump gets the chance to run, it's a wrap, bro.
Yeah.
He will win it, and he will have what he can. Because when you stop being president and become again, you can go 2 more years again.
yeah.
And you know for sure he's gonna get that extra year. So
can I
professionalism, bro.
The way I see it, right? You were talking about allowing Trump. So.
We just allow weirdness to lead us, bro. All
right, I remember. You were speaking about maintenance culture.
Yeah.
Right. So, do you know that you only maintain the things that you have a sense of time about? If you think something is a disposable plate, there is absolutely no inclination to maintain it. Because your mind naturally already tells you, this is it. Use and go. So you're not thinking. We do the same thing with like disposable cups.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody comes to your house and tries to wash a disposable cup. You're like, nah, toss it. It's done.
Yeah.
That's how. So when you have a sort of one-time transactional sense of things, that's what you tend to do. We do it with people as well. You meet someone one time, one bam, thank you, ma'am, and it's like, yeah, it's done. So there's no sense of how you doing, what's going on. It's like on to the next one, right?
Yeah. That inability to think in decades.
But you can't think in decades if you did not learn in decades.
Yeah, but you were saying the same things, like the
sense in which I'm saying it is it's sort of like a yin-yang, right? Both in terms of time. So thinking in decades, as in sort of, the way I'm saying it is learning in decades in terms of history, right? Because to learn is to sort of absorb, to imbibe, to get all that. So learning in terms of history, and then thinking in terms of future, right? So both spectrums of time tethered together by present reality. That's the sense in which I see it, and that points to history. We have no sense of history, because if we did have a sense of history, we would know that 3/4 of the niggas around today are the ones we need to kill.
Exactly.
Not even fight, kill, because them is the niggas.
Get rid of them.
They are the ones that did it since. How does somebody say, oh, he remembers when... Now, again, when I say kill, I do not mean physically kill.
Yes,
but I mean kill off.
It's not happening.
Kill off.
Yeah.
Right? Because even if they were not the direct perpetrators, they have been so long in a system. A white shirt soaked in black dye at some point becomes a black shirt.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be, it's just surrounded by it and takes on that all of that. That's normal. You're in a room of smokers, you don't have to smoke. Maybe you would smell like smoke.
Yeah.
You get so if we don't want no smoke in the room, it doesn't matter if you smoked or not. You were in the smoke room, so you can't come into this new one. And I keep telling people that the only way to do that right now is to turn at our uncles and aunties and say, you know what, the last hurrah is that you have to stop all your niggas from coming at us. Because if they come at us, honestly, with passion, we can't fight bullets. Yeah. We've seen this shit before. Yeah. There's no need to replay it. You get this is the sense in which I see it. So I call it kamikaze mission. Hold all your fathers and mothers and tell them to use their last living energy to run their plane into one of their people. Just to stop it. Since you guys didn't stop it from the beginning, just kill yourselves by yourselves.
Right?
Yeah.
Do the right fucking thing.
Yes. Die on your sword. But take a few niggas out before you do that. That's the last inheritance you can give us at this point.
Do you get, like,
yeah,
that's the only way to make things right.
At this point. You know why? Because apart from, well, not necessarily why, but apart from being able to do that, we need to get as much sense of history from them so that we understand. When you have history, it's easier to maintain. Once you do that over time, it becomes culture, it becomes normative. This is how societies evolve over time. You begin to find one thing and sort of build a strong enough event around it or a strong enough epoch happening around it, and then see how you can trickle that down, right? Because we do need to have a maintenance culture, but we don't, even in our generation. In fact, we have less of a maintenance culture than the next one because everything is sort of replaceable. Your kidney ain't working, shit, you get a new one. You know, it's becoming easier to even sort of replace our parts, and we're doing more of it. It's only going to get... So the sense of care is dwindling. Why care for when you can be optimal all the time?
The beautiful thing, though, the beautiful thing is there are examples of countries and societies that have been able to take shit and turn it into sugar. Right? Yeah. They've been able to mature and outgrow their nonsense and become powerhouses today. That's why I have so much hope for Nigeria. I believe that because we have seen it happen in other places, Rwanda, these guys were at the tip of the sword at ending each other. Like Nigeria we're semi-fine compared to what Rwanda went through, and they came back from the ashes of that and became this. They understood something as a collective. Starting from that day, Kagame, is that the Paul Kagame? And so I believe like we're on the brink of that with Obi. I can see that in a way like this is our chance. We're like there. It's the chance has appeared.
So can I?
And you see how he is, he's so serious with it. If you notice how he's doing it, this motherfucker is everywhere. Where has Obi not been on this planet right now? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Where has that guy was in LA yesterday, he was in London the other day, my nigga is working.
But can I ask what the import of those things are? If he's in a new town every other day, which is fair, what does that mean?
That means that he's building support, building allies, especially not just to win the election, but he's saying to them, this is what we're going to do together with Nigeria.
This is what we hope he's saying.
I've watched his things. That's what he's saying. He's saying to these people, and he's saying to them, he's saying this is what the problem is. If you work with me, we're going to fix things, and this is how you all come in. Okay. Like, it's a very, very, like in his own weird Peter Obi way. Go and verify. You know what I'm saying? That's his thing. In his own weird way, he's hitting all the right notes, and I feel like.
Also, Irene, you've been very quiet. So so you feel free to jump back in when you're ready.
No, but if I'm being honest, I've sat in so many conversations about politics, Nigerian politics, that it drains me mentally, that I choose honestly
to disengage.
To disengage.
That's fair.
It's such a dark conversation these days that, for me, I don't know about the next person, but it's such a dark conversation for me, and I believe for a lot of people, you know, there's so many things going on, and the last thing I want to talk about is about something so heavy that unfortunately we can't do anything about right now.
So I'm glad you said that, because I think there are things we can do. Also because let's realize where we're sat. We're in a place, see, this is the interruption. We are sitting in a place most people think will not exist and there is no point to, yet here we are. Through sheer force of will.
Right.
Yeah.
It's important to, and again, when you slow down, you sort of remember where you are and know that whatever the fuck you want is possible. But it clearly wasn't done on vibes.
Exactly.
No, and this is where I agree with you. It's very exhausting because it's not a complete step. And again, this seems like me reintroducing the framework, because it is. When you slow down your gratitude, you end with taking responsibility. That's the one thing most people don't do in this discussion. So it seems like there is no responsibility to be taken. That is a goddamn lie to me. Here's why.
Okay.
Once again, we're living in this space. 2, there are those who see it earlier, and it's their duty to communicate it. I feel like some aspects of this I do see. Here's what I mean. And I'll start first by saying a thing about Peter Obi. I know people who know him, but I'll tell you, I'm going to write an article. Whenever it's ready, I'll share it with you guys. It's called "We Are Going to Hate Peter Obi." Not for the reasons most people think. One is this: Peter Obi is the direct reiteration of Buhari. Hang on now.
I'm waiting.
Hang on now, because you know the funny thing, I have something to back it up, because I said the same thing about Buhari.
Okay.
And I have it's literally online. There's a post I wrote about it saying I've seen this before.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Where this is the exact same thing with Buhari. Here's what I mean.
Yeah.
These statements apply quite broadly to the two of them. The man, they describe his quality, the way he's moving, he's so serious with it, he's so this. Cast your mind back to 2014, bro. This shit was everywhere. 2, his supporters were rabid dogs. Same way Obi's guys are. The minute you come at them, they will use violence, they will kill you, they will come at you. Social media was bloody. Both, same thing. Hold on now. People defined their familial relationships by those things. Both with Buhari and Obi, they were willing to break off with family members, they were willing to break off with loved ones, with friends, all of that. I'll show you yet another one. Both people didn't really have to say anything specific for people to start dreaming in paragraphs on their behalf. Now, the reason why I point to these sets of things are that they are always heavily passionate without a lot of concreteness. And I like Peter Obi. He's the best of the 3 candidates to me, personally. And I like him for the reasons most people like him for. Except that is quite beside the point. Because if the point is that Nigerians should look for a future that is in their best interest, nobody has said any of that yet. People have just made vague allusions. We're going to. Everyone says they're going to do what Peter Obi is saying. Shut down in fact, Buhari said the exact same fucking things. Again, another like. So in that sense, he's just Igbo Buhari. In his own way. In his own way. But their following elevates them to godlike status. And that is the beginning of the problem in Nigeria, because we keep thinking that it is a godlike being that will solve Nigeria's problem, except that God only talks to you when he wants.
Nah, bro.
Do we understand why Buhari hasn't said anything to us?
Bro. I'm gonna have to, like,
please
come in here with a sword, because he might be saying the same thing that Buhari is saying it, but we are not like, you know what? Forget, in any fan base, even Steph Curry,
as immaculate as that nigga is, he has his rabid dogs. Who, if you say anything about him, they'll come at you, whether it's true or not. Like those sort of people exist. But I'm saying when you look farther and see the gradients as things get farther away from that, you know, and you're just looking at it from the common sense of things. This is a guy who is clearly, even if his politics is like, even if he's the devil reincarnate within, what we're seeing is a guy who appears to be trying and even if
even if it's the,
are we comparing?
we are literally, it's the same. No, so it's the same pattern.
See, no, I don't think I refuse.
Coming from.
I refuse to allow that to even like.
Yeah, this is exactly what we did for 8 years. This exact thing. You are literally making my point.
No.
I get where he is coming from, where
He
I
is-
is coming from.
You see, when someone says I refuse to, that is the sign.
No, I say I refuse to, not like I'm imposing something on you. I say that like being really expressive right now, just being really extra.
Yes, you're making
And
the point.
he's making it slow down to see.
But this is the evidence, ladies and gentlemen.
No. I know what we're getting at, but it is not it.
So stop it.
No, calm down. We're talking about this is calm down.
Calm down.
Yeah, like
I think he's reassuring himself. Okay, please, Ronnie.
Let's take a moment to pause and breathe. Relieve the tension. Whatever you're doing, close your eyes, take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's resume.
It is possible right now that what you are saying is not just we're arguing on ideological stuff, that it could just be flat out like unbelievable from my perspective.
Yeah, fair.
Right?
Yes.
And you and I agree on a lot of different things. We agree on a lot of things.
Yes.
But as I say, I refuse because right now it's different. It's not like you're a stranger. And we just be, this is a thing that I see you diametrically opposite. So I'm being extra just to say this, right?
Yeah, okay.
Comparing him to BC, when Buhari was running, I was not politically involved at all. Now this is speaking personally, I'm speaking generally, but I've not been politically involved till recently. Peter Obi is the reason I have an episode of my podcast that has to do anything politics. Usually I don't talk about it. He's the only person. And that for me, I'm not a child. I'm not out here just looking for a Messiah to save me. Yes. I'm saved. I'm good. Yes. So when you talk about the God thing, I'm just telling you that's not what it is for me.
Okay,
right?
No, for you.
And so what I'm seeing, through my heart of hearts, and if I believe that I am a good judge of character, right? A good judge of character. What I see is a guy who, sure, he might have some flaws, right? And everyone else have flaws. I'm sure you could make a case against him. You can make a case against anybody. Shit, they made a case against Jesus, right? Do you know what I'm saying? So we can make a case against him, but right now, when you look at a guy character, he seems to be competent. At least with Barry, you don't know whether he's competent. You could see it, but you just wanted a different guy from Jonathan. But what this guy seems, even if it's 5%, it's there and it counts. And then he seems to be doing all the things that all these other guys have never done in Nigerian political history. He's doing something that's not been done, right? And then when you now contrast the fact that he's running against Buhari and Atiku and Tinubu, these are guys who are stark contrast of him. So it even shines all the more.
Yeah. So
that's what I want you to understand. Like it's not the same, bro.
No. So here's the sense in which I am saying it. Each person and sort of placing them on a scale. Obi is by far, especially because they're so different from him and he's taking certain steps. So that's great.
Isn't that like a reasonable thing to think?
Can I just be honest with you? It made no sense to me, but I understand.
Like now, or when I was saying what I was saying?
When you were saying what you were saying.
Okay.
That's why I was quiet.
Okay.
But you see, it's fine. As long as, you were able to express.
No, that's the point.
Okay.
What do you think of Obi? That's my thing.
Okay, so
I have no opinion.
Me, I don't have any opinion until he comes and we see. That is just.
So here's what I'm even saying. And many times when we have this discussion, it not just here, but like it tends to sort of go away from giving us the focus and the power in this discussion. And in that sense, when we focus on us, the people, not necessarily. Now, by the way, if somebody asked me why I thought somebody like you, as enlightened and insane as you are, would align with Obi, it's because he is a brand and a compelling brand. Yeah. A compelling brand will attract Rodney.
No, a compelling brand.
Wait. Understand the sense in which I say it, and that's why I'm pointing to. So hear me out. So I'm pointing to. A brand is something that makes people feel a certain way. It is compelling, it is clear, it is direct, it is consistent. Obi is a brand. He has become a brand. He may not have been packaged, because I think it was an organic morph, but you can't deny what it is now. The fact that you can say obedient points to the fact that it's a brand. It already tells you something. When you say obedient, you think of color, you think of behavior, you think of outcome. You already know those things the minute you hear obedient. That is a brand. So hear me out. I was just saying that as an aside, but the conversation around Obi tends to bring us to a point where we now center him. So, like the conversation when we talk about Nigeria, because we're talking about how it affects us, it somehow always ends up being discussions about specific people. And in that broad sense, regardless of who they were, the Pope or freaking Iron Man, I would have the same opinion. It's quite beside what we should be looking at, which is the effect on the people. And then whoever we speak of, we are saying, what are they saying about the effect on the people, right? And we continue to look at the effect on the people, which by the way is what government is supposed to be set up primarily to make sure that there is a positive effect on the people. We always keep the discussion around that. And in that sense, any brand that we're putting out must be speaking directly to that in clear terms. Until it is, then we cannot say anything. And if we are, then we are doing the same thing. We're acting in the same the same thought sequence as we did before. And again, the same thing, because I said it then. It is the exact same reaction. That's why I can even confirm it and say, this is it. This is it. It's almost. So the question is, how do we do that? If we do that, we then begin to develop a more responsible version of this. Which, and Obi sort of says it, which is like, your job starts when I get elected. But in fact, I believe that it starts before you get in, which is that we must scrutinize, not for malice sake, which is what a lot of people do. They scrutinize for malice sake. They want to bring it down. They want to water it down. They just want to sort of take out some air, right? But when you scrutinize enough to say we're obedient, and the first set of people, I said this with Buharists in 2014, early 2015, the set of people who should be the hardest on Buhari were the Buharists, because they had staked their names, their faith, their livelihood, and their hope on him. They had no choice but to hold him. Instead, what did they do? They defended him at every turn. Until the things they were defending came to bite them in the ass. Then everybody's now saying, country bad. All of a sudden, you can't find the motherfuckers who voted for this nigga.
Everyone hates Buhari.
Everybody now hates Buhari. I'm like, where them niggas at? Because they were everywhere. You know what? When I look around, they've changed color, they've changed sides, different people, but I see a same sect acting the exact same way right now. And I support their candidates. But you know what? That pattern is... This sort of comes back to what we were talking about and the space for healing. This space for healing, okay, this was before you came in, Rodney, about figuring out when to stop the violence. Figuring out when to stop that sort of trauma response and to start a process of constructive healing that allows us to create heaven on earth. This is how all these things sync up for me, right? So to my mind, I feel like the people that should be heaviest on Obi now are the obedience. They should be crafting his message clear. What do you mean you will put an inclusive government? We, the ones with the youth and technology, should be the ones sharpening whatever he says and ensuring that it is sharpened instead of defending him. Because time will tell. Why are we engaging in useless arguments now when we can put a guy in and really create heaven on earth? And then time will tell. Like, what is the value of these asinine discussions? It's just intellectual and social energy. Because the effects that we're supposedly fighting for, time will tell, and we are not seeking it ourselves. Yet we're calling ourselves obedience. Who is asking him? Peter, yeah, that is great, man. Love your stuff. But like, what exactly do you mean? No one. Instead, when other people do it, because they're doing it with malice, you see, you've not asked your candidate. Why are you asking? True, that is true. But it still doesn't mean that we have a sense of clarity. Elections are starting. Campaigning is starting today. Campaigning open today. Every time that nigga moves from now, to avoid the same bullshit of Buhari's where they thought, oh, he's ready, and then he came out fumbled so spectacularly that now they can't open their mouths. We are about to enter the exact same thing if we're not careful. When we've staked our name, our pride, Obi, we've marched from this place, we've stopped everybody, stopped everywhere, and then we now look like, oh. So we must start asking the question today.
My question is, okay, that's fair and fine, that's well and good.
Yeah.
And Irene, I would like to answer this if you can. What does all of that have to do with the person, the candidate?
That's the thing, no candidate conversation.
That's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that Obi presents a very, 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 very viable situation.
Of course.
And a lot of people, all these questions will be answered. He could fuck up, but he could not.
That's the thing Buhari guys said.
No, I'm not. See, that's the thing. It's whether you're Buhari guy or not. Like, it's just the combination of things. It could, but what Obi represents. That's what I'm trying to really bring it to focus.
What you support. You're supporting basically.
Yes.
That's what you're getting behind.
That's what I'm getting behind because do I know if he has all the answers? I don't know. I don't know what my guy's gonna do, but he does represent something very, very positive.
Can I tell you what he represents? Positive. I think that's something that we need to be careful not to take away from people. And I think he represents hope.
Yes.
So that's why when it comes to this politics thing.
Sorry. Please, and that's why you talk about heaven. You talk about heaven on earth, right? It's hope, bro. So you can't even be talking like this too much because it defeats what we even stand for out here. Because it's the truth.
Let me refine.
When you remove all the logic and mind centers of it all about all these things, when you have a hard-based argument about this, it's like this guy represents something that is very positive, and he could come in as a president. He might do fuck all, but that hope has inspired well-meaning people. If you're well-meaning, you're good to go. So someone like Irene who's on the fence right now, you saying this really, really keeps on the fence. What we need people to understand is that this is possible. If Irene can leave here and say, oh, you know what, I feel a little bit better about this guy, which she should, anyone should. And I think that counts for something.
Yeah, most definitely.
And if someone feels hopeful, they feel energized. When they feel energized, they're bound to do, more positive things out there. It's the ripple effect of Obi because I see it around. People that I know, even the internet has, I feel like when people bring Obi's arguments to the fore, it's not the cleanest stuff I've seen. You can either verify it to see if it's there or not. And most times, just from my experience, so I think it's worth something and we should lean into that.
So, I was recently reminded, very recently reminded that I possess both logical attributes and emotional.
Hard-based.
So
I'm both emotional and logical. I'm a healthy balance.
Okay.
So the logical part of me, when you guys are talking about politics and Obi and coup and this and that, is okay. If we have hypotheticals here, Obi wins. Let's just say, ooh, he's in now. Do you think, logically, realistically, he has the heart, the mind, the experience to take us from the shithole of a mess that we're in currently? Do you think there's any chance in heaven or hell that he can even get us? I can't even give it. Do you think that's possible? Logically.
Logic, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think you should not even ask him, do you think? I think you should ask him, how sure
How possible?
Like, is it so, like the way you can vouch that God can do this, you believe so much in God, that God, you know God has his attributes, God loves us and he can do this. But you know at the same time that God allows certain things to happen, like there are times and seasons. So he's not promising you good things. There are ups and downs, yes. But can you vouch that whenever the downs come, that definitely we'll get out of that down? Like, do you get where I'm driving?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you. And just to add on to sorry what you said. Apart from that, a second question. We're still on the logic part, right? Second question I have, and you don't have to answer it by the way if you're not comfortable. Because
I'm very comfortable.
Fantastic, I love it. The second part is if it isn't him that is the next president, if it's someone that is tougher, that does have the experience, that has a good track record, for example, to be able to achieve something. Again, can that person, how far can that person get us out of like this mess? Like, because we're here talking about the Nigerian, the state, and where it is right now. So some people say beans. It's not beans.
Yeah, it's not. So to answer your question,
yes, please.
It is. I'm not sure of anything, right? I don't know, and exactly, you have to pay respect to the reality of things. We're so deep in this mess.
Yes.
Like we're so unbelievably deep,
yeah.
and then intertwined with what's at the roots, and the root goes all the way around. Like we're so. It seems like a never-ending battle.
It depends.
At the same time, is it impossible? It is not.
I don't think it's impossible.
And I feel, again, we've seen, my hope comes from the fact that we've seen throughout history examples of places who were in this shithole or worse. I brought Rwanda up earlier. Fantastic. They were in the shithole of the absolute shitholes.
You went too far, she was gone to Ghana.
Right? You see, and they came back. Now, simply because we can, I'll give it that. But can Obi do it? I don't know.
So
but he seems like he is in the right mindset.
What about my second question? If it was someone that was, say, I don't want to. Like I said, I won't mention him. Someone that has no experience, that has a proven track record, that's aggressive enough, that's willing to, I guess, take necessary steps, and irrespective of what happens and who it affects, are they still going to make a difference? So I want you to.
So you're saying Peter Obi's leadership style versus a stricter, more,
Yes.
I think either one will work. If anything, I even think the one that's stricter we even need it more than anything. You know what I mean? We need the strictest version of this thing to get us to where we need to be, because Nigerians are like, they don't do shit unless you force them, right?
We're stubborn.
Yeah, we're stubborn like that. But at the same time, I see something else about Obi's style that is, his leadership is inviting you on a journey. That's what it's like. He's not trying to, be that hard guy. And I'm sure he can make those tough decisions if he needs to.
Man, we make so many assumptions.
No, we've seen what happened in Anambra State. He was not the best leader ever, but he did set a standard for what anti-corruption could look like.
So can I just...
That stands for something.
Can I just jump in here to say a couple of things? The governance, first of all, when we speak about these countries like Rwanda and Ghana, these are not historically multi-ethnic to the degree that Nigeria is. That's one. Let's just say the complexity sort of keeps expanding with each new sect, right? I say that because there are a lot of similarities we seem to draw with. It's almost like saying if you treat a boy like this, then that's exactly how you treat a man. Not the same dosage. There's a reason. There's more surface area. There's more to cover. So the way you attend to it might even have to even be absolutely different. So there's that. That's one. Number two is Peter Obi's thing going on it being a journey is actually by our making, because that's what we do with everything, our generation, and that's because we powered his campaign. That's why they didn't take us seriously from the beginning, because they were like, he's the youth people, he's on social media, he's 4 people tweeting in a room. So now I'm saying that because the version of Peter Obi's rise we know is a story we've been telling. Again, 1,000 versus 200 million people. If you want to solve a 200 million people problem, stop looking at 1,000 people. The minute you are in 1,000 people conversation, you are never going to solve that. Or rather,
what does that do with Obi?
Here's what it has to do with Obi. If you want to discuss Obi, you are discussing what he represents, right? He represents it to people. So we focus on the people, not on Obi. Not on Obi in any sense. Now, what does that mean in this case, right?
It means he needs to actually say what he plans
to do, and until he does, the people.
No, the people have to ask.
And the people have to ask.
the right
We must
questions.
stay on the fence and only go to the side that has convincingly said. Everyone should be on the fence until we hear everybody speak.
So this is where the emotional part comes in, where I said, so you're both saying the same thing, right? But you're coming from different perspectives and angles, and the way you respond to it, it does make it sound as if you lack that. No, it's not passion.
Doesn't support
you. Like, yes, you're like you don't support.
I'm not empathic.
That's the word. Thank you.
Nah, see, you to me, you don't need too much.
Which makes Rodney like you and he are not on the same page.
Yes, I understand that. Yes, I understand that.
We're on the same page. I don't know, because it's like
you're saying support him.
No.
He's saying support him, but still asking the right questions. That's it.
Young lady, what's your name? Ima. I took my glasses for a reason. I want to look in your eyes when I see what I'm about to say, right? What I'm about to say is that we're even thinking too much about this thing. I'm saying, like, you're right. You should do your due diligence. Like, we're not even arguing that. Right. What I'm saying is, in this particular scenario, this particular character, this particular person running for president, this is one of those like exceptional circumstances where it's like, we're gonna ask those questions. We're gonna ask those questions, right? But the eye test. No one passes the eye test like Obi passes the eye test. That's what I'm just trying to acknowledge here. And it just seems that when we're talking about it, like you're just dismissing that like it's not part of the thing.
What, the eye test?
The eye test, yes.
No, the eye test is perhaps the most obvious part.
And it's important because in general, a lot of the leaders we have, not one has ever passed the eye test. They make it to the thing because they're all we got, but not one has ever passed the eye test.
No, but here's the funny thing.
And he has.
No, here's the thing. They passed the eye test. First of all, you don't know because, like you said, you haven't really been involved in politics. So wait. So hang on. Just hang on for a sec.
Of course, I paid attention.
No, hang on. But in speaking about those who have passed the eye test, you need to have known what the eye test was in each era. You don't. I do. Chill. Each era, there are people who pass the eye test. Buhari passed the eye test overwhelmingly. Calm down. I was on Radio Nigeria in 2011. 11. That was 4 years before Buhari, campaigning for Jonathan.
He passed
2011.
the eye test so well that I was in England during his campaign.
Buhari passed the eye test, and that is what I'm explaining to you.
And you know what's funny? Buhari didn't pass the eye test to me.
Yes, that's because your eye test was not what mattered. The majority, and that's the hang on. So that's the danger of democracy. It's not accurate. It's only fair.
Yes, but I'm saying this is the rare situation where Peter Obi's eye test
Right.
is more than likely to translate to results.
I like you said Peter Obi's eye test because other people have their own eye test.
Yeah. People have their own eye test, right? As I was an independent observer.
Yeah.
And I could tell, even when the majority was going for him, I was like, y'all are just really, I could have told anyone this. So now, in what I believe, I like to think, I trust where this comes from. So in my infinite wisdom, my flawed wisdom, I can tell the difference. And I'm saying, if my word is anything to go by, if you think, Ronnie can spot a good thing when he sees it, I'm just saying that Peter Obi looks like I would bet my money on that, just because.
Wait, bet your money on that to do what?
That he's more than likely going to succeed.
Wait, hold up. So by succeed, you mean his government, as opposed to him winning do you mean succeed as in at the polls?
As a leader.
No, so
if he gets to the polls, I mean.
Okay, so when you say succeed as a leader, what does that mean?
Succeed as a leader in that he's going to do this, run the right way, lead the right way, set a good precedent.
Lead who?
Lead himself.
Right.
Himself. Forget his followers. And what I love about him is that he doesn't even really engage them as his followers. As he doesn't like Trump take advantage of this thing.
Yeah.
He just maintains that almost like stoic, like I get what this is, but like we're on a mission here. Like there's a sense of that I get. He doesn't like indulge the fervor. Let the fervor be what it is, but he doesn't play to it. That says something to me. And if you're looking at it from that angle, his character, because I believe that if you have some of character, at least he doesn't have to solve all Nigeria's problems. We have to feel like we have a guy who is not a total liability.
So that again, that is the exact Buhari argument. I know you can't see it. So
no, I get it. I'm just saying
yes, of course. And if everyone who feels this strongly thinks their own is the one, everyone who feels this strongly thinks that their own is the one. So hear me out. The reason why I'm saying that is because we can now see not just.
I'm as neutral as I can be.
Hear me out. So I'm saying that with Buhari, we thought these things, and we now realize that it is very possible for someone to be of great character and to perhaps lead themselves well. And hear me out. Just hear here's the funny thing. Buhari actually is of great character. Those who know him know he's of great character. He actually is. Yes, he is a perfect gentleman. Yes.
That's not what that means.
No. See, when you speak about someone governing themselves, you open the door because I asked you to define the parameters. And I said, when you say success, you said lead. I said, when you say lead, what do you mean? You said himself. So you define character. You brought it up. And that's why I'm using it. So in the terms of character, Buhari seemingly or supposedly has a great character. Hear me out. But that has not translated, because every 3 seconds you want to talk, that has not translated to an efficient or focused government. And that is why I'm saying to myself, if you tell me about a man of character or you speak overwhelmingly about him, it may be true and he may have passed all the eye tests, and that may be correct. So I'm not here to argue that. But it is still beside the point because it is still focusing on the 1,000.
Okay, let me put it like this.
And we can see that 1,000 has not worked.
Let me put it like this, right, bro?
And by the way, and let me end here. By the way, when we did with Buhari, he had the force of party. He had the force of opposition. Obi doesn't. So this is a guy with character and actually had the gravitas. Hear me out. Now, it doesn't mean that Obi cannot come here in this sort of David versus Goliath situation and turn it on its head, but it means that we must understand David's character and capacity, right? And see if what we are looking for is translating directly or we are using hope to fill in the gap.
Okay, that is fair. No, that is fair. And I'm just saying, between you and I, us in this room, I don't know about the world.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that.
I'm voting for Obi, by the way.
Of course you are. Yeah.
After all of this.
Yeah, I am. But I'll be asked. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because we're on the same side.
So I will leave people like you, to ask the right questions, right? everyone has their role in this, right? There are those who are
But some people don't know the questions to ask. That's something
right?
that
You know,
consider.
There are those whose strengths lie in just building the base, getting people to buy in, right? Everyone's playing their role in this. But we have a guy in Obi whose story is, like I said, his journey is what is leading us, because this is a guy who has a totally different record, and it's mostly positive. Mostly positive. First of all, we can't even, these are the facts. When we're not being emotional here, it's mostly positive stuff. And I'm just saying the common sense of it all without even getting emotional about it. I'm only emotional because I need you to understand this, because it's so important, right? That this is a guy who's definitely on a brighter path compared. And Buhari's only seemed bright because he was just the moment. Everyone wanted something different. It was like, everyone just wanted something different. But now we know that shit can get worse. And everybody who has a heart and a soul wants things to be better. That's really what it is. And Obi represents that. And we should look at that very critically.
I agree with everything up until that last two. That's the second to last sentence. Obi represents better. That's hope speaking. That's because that's hope speaking. Obi potentially represents.
Why are you so against hope?
Let me tell you why. I've seen this before, bro. You were not here.
I was not here. What was that?
No. You were not in the middle of the political economy the last time this thing started. I was in the middle of it. There's nothing you are saying they didn't say in the exact same way. This feeling, all of this hope. Nothing, bro. Nothing. You're saying the exact.
Wait, how is it nothing? How is it nothing?
No, there's nothing you're saying. So I said that's what I mean. Everything you're saying are the same variations of the exact same things. And so when you ask me what I have against hope, I have seen what has happened when we have quite blindly and somewhat religiously carried hope and put in one man to the point where we turned off our brains to ask questions.
Do follow the podcast on IG at The Young God Pod and Twitter at I Am The Young God for more God level content. New episodes drop every Saturday at midnight, so do subscribe and do share. I'm your host, Rodney, and I wish you a blessed day and a blessed mind. Rodney, out.